Well, good evening, and welcome this evening on this lovely, cool, relaxing Thursday evening. In a way, I wish that behind me was like a nice sea of Jamaica, or hearing some cool breeze just flowing as well. Because in a night like this, it is very relaxed. In the studio, just really chill, and you can actually take it easy. You know what I'm saying? I want to thank for those who are joining me on Instagram, those who are joining me on Facebook, those who are joining me on TikTok, and most importantly on YouTube. And if you want to go on YouTube as well, you can go to YouTube, which is Stillborn TV on YouTube. Is it not Friday? Well, I just came from 14. Okay. Today is Saturday. For ladies and gentlemen, this is Saturday today. Saturday, the 16th of March, 2024. So yeah, but the topic tonight is going to be what next for Kartel and the Privy Council after the recent quashing, and also regarding the CCJ and the Privy Council. Is that this whole thing is now shedding a light as to the relevance of the CCJ, which is the Caribbean Court of Justice, which I believe is relevant. But also many people are actually going to be saying, hang on a second, I think we need the Privy Council still. But then I want to talk about also the reform which is coming in regarding Jamaica to move away from the king. Before we used to say the queen, but move away from the king. And then we call it of a republic. There's a lot of talk about that, a lot of talk about the reform, and I find it very strange, and many people find it very strange for one to have removing the king, but yet at the same time keeping the king's court. I believe that we must be able to somewhat have a level of what should I say? Believing in ourselves, trusting in ourselves, and doing things for ourselves, no matter what. So yeah. But tonight, what I'm gonna have, I'm just gonna have a little glass of wine. Just had some earlier. Just a little glass of wine and some sparkling water. And for those who are joining me, you can also have either one. Talking Sip Saturday night. Saturday night is whereby we have a little conversation, and also what we do, we have a drink, on a serious topics. Sometimes they always say, this is what they say sometimes, like in Jamaica or in rum bars or in the pubs or whatever. A lot of conversations are made there, like even in the pubs, not even the pubs, like in the clubs, even on the golf course. A lot of conversations, a lot of discussion, a lot of deals are done there. So, so cheers, ladies and gentlemen, cheers. Always say Jamaica need a Privy Council, else worries in the justice system in Jamaica. Well, there's someone already put they're put in there. They always say Jamaica need a Privy Council, else. Well, that's good. I believe that we should be able to stand on our own. If slavery done, slavery done. We must be able to stand on our own, But hey, that's just me. I'm just a host. I'm gonna have my Tunda McCullough on tonight, and one of the things I just want to share is this, and I want to start off with this, and this is regarding setting the stage in regards to the because the Vybz Kartel case was very crucial and very important, and in Jamaica we like to talk about justice. In the world we like to talk about justice. I'm a lawyer, for argument's sake. It is something pure, something righteous. But lately it feels like justice is just a word for those with the means to buy it. And we take the case of Vybz Kartel, a man whose name echoes through the streets like a thunderclap. They say justice is blind, but in Jamaica it seems to have a preference for those with deep pockets and connections. Vybz Kartel, a dancehall icon, a controversial figure, a man of influence when the verdict came down, it wasn't just him on the trial, it was the very notion of justice and itself. Many celebrated is the quashing and the triumph of the law, a sign that no one is above justice. But for others, it felt like a stark reminder of the gaping divide between the haves and the have-nots. Good evening. Hey, Jenny, how are you? Nice seeing you. Wonderful. You see, in Jamaica, justice ain't just about what you did or you didn't do. And I'm going to say not just Jamaica, because justice is something. It can evade and can be very elusive. And they sometimes say justice delayed is justice denied. But they also say it's about who you know and how much you can pay. What do you say about that? It's who you know and how much you can pay. And for every Vybz cartel behind bars, there's a slew of a lesser-known individual languishing in prison. Their cries for justice falling on deaf ears. In a system riddled, possibly with corruption, your live may contain themes not suitable for younger audience and has been age restricted. That's all right. Okay, that's good. TikTok is saying that the live is not maybe good for young people. TikTok always keep bothering me with my lives as well. Good evening, Cool Breeze. Good evening. Talk and sip lions. Yeah, what are you drinking? Tell us what you're drinking, guys. What are you drinking? As I say, using Jamaica, justice ain't just about what you did or didn't do. It's about who you know and how much you can pay. For every Vybz cartel behind bars, there's a slew of lesser-known individuals languishing in prison. Their cries for justice falling on deaf ears. What do you say? While I'm talking to this, let me just big up all the different persons coming on. And let me just big up to Michelle. Big up, Michelle, where I say, happy Saturday. Do you guys still have TikTok in America? Who is the president over there? Is it Trump or is it Biden? I don't know. I get confused as to what's going on in America. System riddled with corruption, where the scales of justice are tipped in favor of the powerful and the privileged, where the poor are left to fend for themselves while the rich navigate the legal system with ease. Their high-priced lawyers weaving intricate webs of deception to secure their freedom. Yes, for now. That's a guess, But we can't keep turning a blind eye to the injustices that plague society. We can't keep pretending that justice is something reserved for the select few. And it's time to shine a light on the dark corners of the legal system. To demand, accountability for those in power. And to fight for Jamaica where justice truly is blind to the size of your bank account. So they say, let's just sit back and watch as the wheels of justice continue to turn. Justice is for sale, PJ the female said. Justice for sale. Is that so? Let our voices be heard and demand a Jamaica where justice is not just a word, but a reality for all. The question is, how many persons may be languishing in prison at this time, wishing that they could have the opportunity to go to the Privy Council? But at the same time, what about the Caribbean Court of Justice? What about the Caribbean Court of Justice? Are we still enthroned or excited by the white man handing down verdict, as if to say we cannot do it for ourselves? Is it? What can I say? Is it? Let me hear what Michelle is actually saying. I'm smoking. I thought you say I'm smoking today. I'm snaking today on snaking. What is snaking? Is that a new word? Snaking today on golden berries and fresh pineapple. I guess what you're saying. I had some grapes a while ago, and I had some blackberries. I think that was good. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you have? Because of misconduct, justice system in Jamaica, murder going free is corrupted, and we should still riding on England wings. We should still ride on England wings. So therefore, people are saying they want the England wings. So you want to keep the king. Well, it's a conversation to be had. The Caribbean Court of Justice, heralded as the pinnacle of judicial integrity. Let me just turn this music down. I don't know if you can hear the music, but turn this music down. Let me turn it down, 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 down. Please share this live. Please share it as much as possible. Let's have a conversation. I'm going to be jumping on TikTok, for moving on TikTok, moving over onto YouTube, moving over onto Facebook, and moving on to Instagram as well. Going to jump on all of them. All of them are going to jump on, definitely tonight. So, Caribbean Court of Justice, heralded as the pinnacle of judicial integrity, regional autonomy. Now it finds itself at a crossroads with the Privy Council recent decision to quash the conviction of Vybz Kartel. Questions arise again about the relevance and efficacy of our own regional court. Do we want a regional court, or do we want to keep the Privy Council? For years, the Caribbean Court of Justice, it's been touted as a symbol of progress, a testament to our commitment to sovereignty and self-determination. Yet with each high-profile case that slips strict grasp, doubts begin to creep in. How did this case slip through the grasp of the Caribbean Court of Justice? Vybz Kartel's saga serve as a stark reminder of the challenges that plague our judicial system. While the Privy Council may have overturned his conviction on procedural grounds, the underlying issues remain unresolved. It begs the question: if our own regional court cannot deliver justice in such a high-profile case, what hope is there for ordinary citizens who rely on it for recourse? I have Mr. Matunda McCullough, former public defender, acting public defender in Jamaica. He's going to be joining me tonight. We're going to have a conversation. I'm going to keep it very simple tonight. Just keep it. I like to be very educate on these issues there. Someone says, keep it. Oh yeah, actually, we're going to do a poll. Actually, the poll is going to be keep the Privy Council or go for the Caribbean Court of Justice, and people can say that Kartel embrace the Jamaican justice system. In my opinion, let me go for Mr. Matunda. Sir McCullough, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Good evening to you. Yes.
Yes. Welcome and thank you so much for I was gonna camp out at your house, if you didn't come on tonight. I'm trying to say. Is the Caribbean Court of Justice going, or are we? People already start to say that they don't trust the Caribbean Court of Justice. They want a Privy Council, Matunda. I mean, I jump all the way into it. What's your take?
And why they don't trust it? Because
well, this is what we're gonna work out. I started off just setting the stage in regards to the recent Vybz Kartel conviction, which was quashed by the Privy Council. And I think the key question now is, and I put it to us, so let's have this discussion, and people can chirp in as well. What next now for Kartel? Oh, okay, what happened? For somebody might just be popping in. What was the outcome of the Privy Council? What do we understand that to be?
Well, the appellants in that case, I think it's the 4 appellants.
Yes.
They had been tried and convicted by the Jamaican court, and after their convictions, they appealed to the Jamaican Court of Appeal. Certainly, one of the primary issues on which they based their appeal is the fact that one of the jury, as originally impaneled, consisted of 12 persons. In Jamaica, you cannot have a jury that has less than 11 persons. The minimum 11. Started off with 12. One, I think it was a female, she had to be released, not because of anything that she did. And that left us with 11.
11, yes.
And as your listeners are probably aware, when you have a jury, you have someone who's regarded as a 4-man or a 4-woman. Yes. On the last day of the trial, the 4-woman informed the judge that one amongst the 11
Mm.
had was busy trying to bribe the others,
Yeah,
the other 10.
yeah,
And so that raised the question of whether or not he can continue with the trial, or given the constraints under the Juries Act, if the
yes,
judge took a decision at the time to say that person who was trying to bribe others, we will dismiss that person from jury service on the
yes,
case, it would have naturally followed that the case would have had to be stopped, have been terminated, and a new trial would have been ordered. The judge called the parties in chambers, and the defense counsel objected to a continuation of the trial, and for several reasons, most obvious of which I think was the fact that you have a bad apple. He has
mm.
he has contaminated the process, so it can't continue. The prosecution took a different view. The prosecution said it was ready to continue with the trial.
And if and we can say the prosecution would be the present DPP pushing it along that way. Yes,
Well,
would I?
it's important to point out that she wasn't trial counsel. She
Right.
wasn't trial counsel. The trial counsel at the time was a senior deputy, at the time, senior deputy public prosecutor.
Yes.
The current DPP, somehow, I don't know how, found herself at court, uh, though she wasn't trial counsel,
Uh,
and got into the judge's chambers with the defense lawyers and effectively said, "We are ready to continue." If you read,
can you just clarify when you say judges' chambers? What does that mean for persons who are not legally minded?
well, what that means effectively, outside of the courtroom, in the judge's office, basically,
Yeah.
an office
In the judge's
reserved for
office.
the judge.
Yes. Yeah. Mm.
And the EPP told the judge effectively that the prosecution is ready to continue, and all that the judge needs to do is to give the jury the customary warning, which
Yes.
is you're not meant to be influenced by any other thing but what you've heard inside the courtroom, and that's it. Clearly, the Privy Council found the judge therefore continued the trial,
Mm.
and what the judge did was give the customer warning. But importantly for your viewers, the juror who was said to have tried to bribe, been trying to bribe the parties, the other members of the jury, he was allowed to continue sitting with the other 10
Yeah.
when they retired to make their decision. That was jury misconduct. Another ground on which they appealed was the fact that effectively the jury was sent out to retire pretty late in the day. Can't remember the time,
Mm.
but if court closed at 4, I think it was less than 3 hours. But that's and the appellants were saying, well, that the judge, by sending them out to retire to make a
Yeah.
decision, was really putting undue pressure on them to return a verdict.
Mm.
And that's the second ground of appeal. And the third ground of appeal was that's the information that was obtained from the telephone. I can't recall which of the defendants or the appellants at the time, that the phone recordings were obtained in contravention of the Interception of Communication Act, and also, by extension, it would breach the right to privacy.
Yeah.
The Privy Council only considered the issue of the jury misconduct. When I say only considered, only returned a decision, a reasoned. The only part of its advice was
Yes.
the jury misconduct. So the other two grounds were not seriously considered by the Privy Council for different reasons. Certainly, the Interception of Communication Act issue of the voice, the messages from the telephone. The court said
Yeah.
that the appellants were really asking the Privy Council to lay down some new principles in terms of how you can obtain messages from phones. The Privy
Yes.
Council said that we won't really get into that because that point was not argued in the way it was argued before the
Yeah.
Privy Council, and therefore the Privy Council says it's best, effectively, that if the matter was not um, raised in the way it was raised in the Privy Council, if it was not raised in the Court of Appeal, they're not going to deal with it. But effectively, what Privy Council is saying, listen, we have given you a decision on the jury misconduct, and we have allowed the appeal on that grounds. We really don't need to trouble the other two grounds.
Right.
Yeah.
So therefore, and this is where we're at now, whereby what has happened now is that the conviction is overturned or
Quashed.
quashed. Quash
Quashed.
is the right word for that.
Yeah.
What does this mean now? What's the next stage for Cartel? Will there
So
be a retrial?
for all
Yeah.
defendants,
Mm.
what it practically, in practical terms, what it means is that the matter will now go to the Jamaican Court of Appeal.
Mm.
I mean, the language is so artificial. Go to the Jamaican Court of Appeal.
Yeah.
It will go back to the Court of Appeal for the Court of Appeal to make the decision as to whether or not there should be a
Retrial.
retrial.
Mm.
Um, there's a procedure under a specific act, statute in Jamaica, piece of law
Yes.
that effectively says, even if something wrong has happened, um, there hasn't been the Privy Council could have said, notwithstanding that wrong, that
Mm.
breach of procedure, we still think that the conviction is safe. The Privy Council specifically
Mm.
considered that and said, no, we think the wrong was such that we cannot uphold the conviction. The conviction is unsafe. Okay?
Mm. Mm.
And so the matter has now been sent back, which is a traditional thing to do, um, to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal must now convene a hearing to determine whether or not it will order a retrial, or
Yeah.
whether or not it will say no retrial. The defendants should no longer be required to face another trial.
I'm picking up different comments from her. Someone just said the case is now more in the public sphere. If there's a retrial, can there not be unbiased verdict? You know.
Well, I mean, I certainly suspect that that would be one of the principal grounds in which
Mm.
the defendants um, lawyers will be arguing.
Again, yeah.
Um, but beyond that, the lawyers, I suppose, are thinking of applying for bail.
Bail
It,
for
it,
them.
it suits the court, the Court of Appeal, the criminal division, to
Mm.
hasten in terms of giving them a date when they can hear arguments as to whether or not a new trial sh- should be convened.
So right now, what we're having is a situation whereby Vybz Cartel and his co defendants.
Mhm.
They're in prison, but actually they're not. They're innocent, isn't it?
Uh,
Can we
um,
say can we say they're innocent? Because
well, yeah,
you're innocent until proven guilty.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
if there's a
Of course.
procedural fact didn't take place,
Yeah,
which didn't
yeah.
happen, so they're actually innocent persons in prison at
They're
this present
charged.
moment.
They're still
They're being
charged.
charged.
Yeah,
So that
but we
yeah,
still have the principle still runs through that
yes,
you are innocent until proven guilty.
yes.
Hmm.
So so therefore the prosecution and Jamaica can go ahead and go for a retrial.
Yeah. Well, and that they
Mm.
can go ahead. The Court of Appeal will determine if they go
Will
ahead.
determine if there's a yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So the big thing now, and this is a big question now, is this. I'm moving away from the cartel bit, because I want to bring into this whole aspect with the Privy Council and the Caribbean Court of Justice. Many people are now thinking and are saying that we need the Privy Council because of what took place now, whereby you got an innocent man which was in prison, and right now they are saying that many innocent persons may be in prison at this present moment because a lot of issues, and the Privy Council are now on earth and drawing to question the judicial system in Jamaica. Is that a fair statement, or this is just one?
I mean, I'm not so sure those who are making an argument are really thinking properly. Firstly, they have not experienced the Caribbean Court of Justice. That's
Yes.
one. Two, they have,
Mm.
most persons, and I always do this litmus test, and I
Yes.
always ask this question: those who abolishing the peace and Privy Council,
Mm.
have you ever bothered to read any of the decisions of the Caribbean Court of
Okay.
Justice? You know, secondly, the Court of Appeal's decision in this case,
Mm.
it's not that the Court of Appeal did not consider some of the things that the Privy Council considered. It considered it and it took a different view.
Yes.
And it's not that the Court of Appeal closed its eyes or were unaware of the issues. It took a different view. What people should remember is that within the context of the UK, United Kingdom's, England and Wales uh, decision-making process in the judicial system, Court of
Mm.
Appeal here gets it wrong sometimes. It gets it wrong. That's
That's
why
why
that's
you
why
got
you have
lots
a
of mystery.
Supreme
Yeah. Sorry. Go
that's
ahead.
why you have a Supreme Court. In any judicial system or legal system, I should say, you have an apex court, a court at the top that is there to ensure that things don't go wrong. The reason why we're having this
Mm.
very discussion is because we have a court that doesn't sit in Jamaica, and so
Mm.
somehow we think that judges in the Caribbean cannot come to or could not have come to this
Same.
decision. It's
Mm.
it's a fictitious and a false argument that needs to be people need to stop making it because they have not experienced a CCJ.
Yeah. If I ask this question then, and people ask this question, is you got the CCJ, you got the Privy Council. Why did they go to the Privy Council, not the CCJ? Could they have gone to the CCJ? That is
No,
Isaac
no,
Buchanan and all. Oh, no, yeah.
no, you couldn't because Jamaica has not acceded to the appellate jurisdiction of the
Right,
Caribbean Court of Justice.
right. And now this brings us to the crux of the whole thing. We are seeking to have a constitutional reform where we are seeking to remove the king as a head of state, but yet at the same time there are arguments for retaining the Privy Council, and at the same time removing the king as a head of state. But a point which we discussed before is that the Privy Council is not entrenched in law. It is more. It's a political decision, isn't it?
Yeah,
Am
the
I
Privy Council. Yeah, the Privy Council is not entrenched in the Jamaican Constitution.
constitution?
The it's easier to remove abolish appeals to the Privy Council than it is technically to remove the king as head of state, and that's because to remove the king as head of state, you'll need to have a referendum. You don't need that for the Caribbean Court of Justice to remove to abolish appeals to the Privy Council.
When you hear terms like the CCJ is a body club, what would the C's? Uh, it, is it that the CCJ is not present or seen, and many people do not know it? Of course, other than the lawyers within the fraternity. Right now, the average person or the average Jamaican now, hearing about this case, with the team going to the Privy Council, freeing the world boss, they are seeing now that is justice. We do not trust our own. We do not trust the CCJ. We want to keep, or this is going to case now. We're going to keep the king. We're going to keep that system because, according to the judgment, when I was looking at I was looking at the judgment a while ago, and one of the if I can find it, yeah. Where is it? I'll find it. I'll find it. There's one bit in it which it said. This is what it said. It's at are you?
Pardon me?
Me? Are you?
I can't hear you.
Sorry. Oh, I heard some music a while ago. I don't know where that came from. Is that you or me?
Not me.
Oh, is that you?
No.
Oh, keep it. Hold on. I don't know why music keep coming up here. Can oh wow. Wow. Hold on. Wow. I keep hearing music. Um I keep I keep hearing music coming up each time, you know. Where something said about the king. Yes. For the reason set out above, the board will humbly advise His Majesty that the
Yes, the
appellant's
last paragraph.
convictions. Sorry?
The last paragraph of the
Yeah,
advice.
the last paragraph.
Hmm.
That the Majesty. Sorry, I don't know. Sorry, sorry. I must ask a question, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear some music? Not those on TikTok, but those on YouTube. Michelle, can you hear some music or Lorna Savage? You can hear some music coming up. I don't know. I hear music keep coming up each time. But yeah, what does that? Here's yeah hashtag. No, you'll hear it because I'm talking about the persons on YouTube. Um, yeah. What does it say? That
Hmm.
I don't know. I keep hearing this music. Sorry, I'm gonna see if I can get it up. I keep hearing this music, bro. Michelle, you're not hearing any music. I don't know where this is. Anyhow, and at least we can hear. Some people can't hear. Yeah, moving on. Yeah, Matuna, what does that bit there means about advising His Majesty there? You know?
Well, the Privy Council is
Yeah.
really a body that's constituted to advise the king.
Mm,
Okay, and
yeah.
the facility that we now have is one that's been around since the 1830s,
Mm,
where historically persons who had grievances would be given the opportunity to, if you like, petition through the Privy Council. The
yeah.
king, the Privy Council is theoretically, forget about the judges for a second. It has always been seen, and it was how it was created as a body of wise men who, and now you have women, but predominantly in the 1830s when it was created, was
Yeah.
persons who were selected to advise the king on
Yes.
matters of state. And you this is the judicial committee, it's a committee of judges, but
Mm,
you still have a privy council in the UK. And so what they do is advise His Majesty.
yeah.
It's not usually you have when an appellate court sit, it
Mm,
the appellate court will say that it will dismiss the appeal. Well, in this case, or quash a decision. What in this case they say we will advise His Majesty that this is what he
yeah.
he should do, because you're petitioning the king. You're still
Yes.
petitioning the king. So those persons who are in one hand dancing and say we're getting rid of the king, you're
Yes.
still going to have to petition the king if you don't abolish appeals to the Privy Council.
All right. I'm going to ask this question. I'm going to say hi to David, hi to Dolly, hi to different persons coming in. Remember to like and share and to let us have your views in this. We are talking about the Vybz Cartel case and the caution of the conviction. However, we're moving away not just from that into the Privy Council and the CCJ. Uh, how would you say then that persons can know more about the CCJ and for them to be educated more about it? Because a lot of people saw the Privy Council and were watching it in light of Vybz Cartel case. Do you believe that the people in charge of the Privy Council, the president also, need to start to sell the case or
I
sell the
mean, the
whole?
Caribbean Court of Justice.
Sorry, well, yeah, Caribbean Court of Justice. Yes, yes.
Um, Sell the case.
Sell,
What
sell,
people,
sell, when I say sell it, sell the whole process, the CCJ.
I mean, if by sell you mean educate the public more,
Educate. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, the Caribbean Court of Justice certainly does that. I mean, the first thing to point out, I should have said, is that you you can access the hearings of the Caribbean Court of Justice online
Yes.
at www.ccj.org.
Mm,
Um, in the same way you have we were able to watch the deliberations, the appeal of the Privy Council. It's the same
mm,
way you can watch the hearings that take place in front of the judge of the Caribbean Court of Justice. Those of us who don't want to watch the hearings, you can read the decisions. Listen, it is a modern court, and some would say a very progressive court because of the
mm.
type of decisions that they have come to on important constitutional matters. I mean, this is a court, and I'm not just saying it because I support abolishing appeals to the Privy Council.
Yes,
I'm saying it because it's important. One of the key and important issues in Caribbean uh, constitutional stroke human rights is the whole issue of savings clauses.
yeah,
In a nutshell, there are some clauses in our independence constitutions which seek to preserve a number of things that
yes,
existed prior to independence, and these things, because these saving clauses, because they save certain provisions,
yes,
you find that they retard the development of the constitution.
yes,
Okay, in some modern principles cannot be applied to
yes,
our current situation because of these savings clauses. And the Caribbean Court of Justice have found ways and means to get around these things so that our constitution can evolve with the times. I would say to those persons who are, I can understand why some persons may perceive this idea that you can only get justice, as Edward Siago had said once,
mm,
can only get true justice from the Privy Council. I mean, that was a rubbish, empty, bellicose,
mm.
and stupid statement to make of anyone, because it somehow suggests that knowledge and discernment and the ability to coolly reflect in an objective manner on something is the
Yeah,
preserve of some, only some, and that cannot be, it cannot be anything more further from the truth. Remember, the judges from the Caribbean Court of Justice are taken from all over the world. Up until recently, you had a judge from Holland sitting on the Caribbean Court of Justice.
mm,
His name escapes me, but I know he retired not
mm,
so long ago. So I'm
yeah,
not too patient when I hear people say these things. The Cabinet Court of Justice certainly has, the president certainly has sessions online
yes,
where he tries to educate persons about it. But I don't think, whilst I know I see that it's quite tempting on this occasion for persons
yes,
to conflate the two without recognizing that, oh, this is not a decision. the decision that was being appealed wasn't a decision of the Caribbean Court of Justice.
Yes,
What was being
yes.
appealed was a decision of the Jamaican Court of Appeal, which if Jamaica was at a was a if Jamaica had acceded to the appellate jurisdiction of the Caribbean Court
Yeah.
of Justice, this case would have gone there, and I certainly can't see any reason why they wouldn't have come to the same
Same.
decision.
Yeah.
Might I point out to persons that one of the arguments that was advanced by that was used, I should say, by the the judges of the Privy Council to quash the appeal is an argument that was raised by the one of the lawyers for one of the defendants, i.e.,
Mm,
it never took someone to going to London, coming to London to
yes.
make the point. It's just that a judge didn't accede to the point.
Mm.
So if that argument existed in the minds of a Caribbean lawyer, why wouldn't it exist in the mind of a Caribbean judge?
Yeah. Well, one of I want to apologize for music keep coming in. I don't know what's happening there, but I'm just keeping still and don't touch my controls. But also one of the concerns that persons have is that Vybz Cartel can afford eminent lawyers and QC and going to the Privy Council. Is there a cost for going to the Privy Council?
Of
According
course.
to Lord Reed was saying it's easy, we're there, you can do it, what I'm saying. I
I
mean, I
mean,
understand. Yeah.
what Laurie was saying is that you can access this thing online.
Yes.
So that's what he was saying effectively. But if you have the option, present the option to someone to go online or to go in person. I think most persons would want to go
In
in
person.
person.
Mm,
And don't forget, people will need visas to still need visas to come to the Privy Council to sit and follow their own hearing. Second class citizen stuff. And
yeah.
I should not have to get a visa
To
to
access
go
justice.
to my final court. I mean,
Yes.
invariably in criminal cases, the persons are in prison. But in civil cases, you might want to fly up. You might want to,
Fly across.
yeah, and to see your own decision. And it costs.
Mm.
It certainly costs more. It certainly costs more to come to the UK than it could ever cost to to sit in your own case in the Caribbean Court of Justice.
But for the application which are made, um save and apart from the lawyers and the because the lawyers over here in the UK, sorry, in Jamaica, they will have to get lawyers in the UK as well to represent them as well.
I mean, you don't have to get lawyers in the UK if you choose.
That's what I was hearing. Why Paula Llewellyn never take the case? I mean, look, there's some
Well,
senior
she was
person
there.
who was
She was
there.
there. She was there sitting
Yeah.
with her deputy. She could have
Mm.
argued the case if she wanted to. I mean, I suspect I have my reasons why she did not argue it. I would leave it
I
up to
said
her.
it. Yeah.
Huh?
I said was he made representation, isn't it?
Listen, this case embarrassed the DPP. You know,
Yeah.
let's not go around it. It embarrassed the DPP, and
Should she
I
go? Sorry, go on. Keep talking,
pardon me.
sir. No, go on, go on. I was gonna say, is
It
her
embarrassed the
is her
DPP
position
because
her
if you
position shaky?
if you listen to the comments of the some of the lawyers who
Yeah.
were involved in the case at the trial stage, you will hear that it is not. If you read paragraph 31 of the advice of the
Mm,
Privy Council, what
yeah.
it really says is, well, the DPP did say to the judge there in the trial that, well, the let me use the language that
Mm,
the judges use. It says, after I'm reading paragraph 31 of
yes.
the Privy Council's advice. After a 10-minute break, during which the prosecution and the defense teams conferred separately, Miss Llewellyn
Mm,
indicated that the prosecution was prepared to proceed, but suggested the judge should just warn again about
mm,
jury again about their oath. So what effectively? it was her, as in the DPP, who
Yes.
effectively, her voice was quite strong
Yes.
in telling the court what to do.
Yes.
Yeah. So in a sense, it was quite embarrassing for her,
Mm.
um, especially when you know that she wasn't trial counsel. So the case is going on. This issue
Yes.
presented its head, and Miss Llewellyn found herself there. What one of the lawyers I've listened to have said is that the DPP effectively submerged herself or got herself into the judge's
Yeah.
chambers and persuaded the judge to effectively follow a course of conduct that was unconstitutional. You
But
see,
but but yeah. Go on. Go on. Go on. Yeah.
it's not in my view. It's not just a case of there were differing legal arguments.
Yeah.
It's a case of someone seemingly using their
Yeah.
office to push a
Bamboozle.
particular
Yeah. Well,
push
listen.
a particular
Yeah.
course.
Well, I'm going to ask this question. Angela, you said something. Paula was a chief prosecutor with Vybz Cartel case. A judge recently, I don't understand. Said, die she must hold. I don't know. Can you repeat that again? 'Cause I didn't understand that. One of the things I want to ask you there a second, and people want to ask this question as well. While the the DPP was able to go to the judge's chambers, which is in the judge's office, one of the things which was said is that she was able to influence the judge against the opposition of the defendants. So what about the judge? Didn't the judge know better?
Well, the judge certainly came in for should come in for criticism, and
Yes.
uh, the Privy Council was quite polite in its expression of understanding of the position that the judge was in, because it was at
Mm,
the end of a lengthy trial. We're not talking about a
mm,
2 week trial or anything like that. I think it's about 8 weeks or so, or
mm.
4 6 days. I can't remember, but of course, the judge must accept a great degree of culpability in terms of what has happened, because what he
Yes.
has effectively caused is a is he pursued a course of conduct that is really unconstitutional.
Yes.
I mean, just think, if you ask your 10-year-old child, if someone is trying to bribe you, would you still keep them at the dinner table
Mm.
with you? I mean, I think the judge should consider his position, because it's embarrassing what happened. It's
Do you
embarrassing.
think do you think also the deputy the DPP should also reconsider her position, even though she
Yeah, I
just
mean,
recently
yes,
got a new
yes.
contract?
Her position is untenable. Her
Mm,
position is untenable, and I say it's untenable
mm.
because of one, she was not trial counsel. She was not in the rough and tough of what was going on.
Yes.
Yeah, she could not really tell the temperature in a true sense
Yes.
of what was happening. Yes, she has had discussions when she came along with the trial counsel,
Mm.
but she effectively encouraged the court to
See a particular way.
pursue
Mm,
pursue a course that was clearly and obviously unconstitutional. I
mm.
mean, it was so obvious that you have to say that she encouraged the court out of expediency, I think,
Yes.
and encouraged the court to pursue this unconstitutional court path. It's wrong. It's wrong. And now, just imagine seeing her presenting this case to the Court of Appeal now to say have a retrial. Well, you're the one who, in the first instance, encouraged the judge to go down a particular path,
Right.
and now the persons have spent 10 years in prison, and it has gotten a higher degree of publicity over the years. that
Mm.
now you're causing people to wonder if this thing can be, if these guys can still receive a fair hearing. So her position is untenable, and I would love to think that she thinks that,
Mm.
but it should not leave it up to her. She's on contract, and so the contract can be terminated. It's not a case where she's there before her 65th birthday. She's past that age, and her tenure was extended. I think the
Yes.
last occasion was via contract.
Yes.
Um, yeah, our position is untenable. Frankly, it is untenable. You
I would,
cannot you
yeah.
cannot encourage a court
Mm.
to pursue an unlawful course of conduct, and it's not a case where you see the difference here is we're not talking about you're trying to persuade the court to along a an alternative legal path.
Mm.
This is not a legal path; it's an
Mm.
unlawful path.
Yes. And Clyde Williams, I don't know this. I don't know if you know of Clyde Williams.
It's a lawyer.
He's a lawyer in Jamaica. He has come out swinging against the Privy Council as Jamaica's final appellate court. Um, in a long-running legal battle. Okay, so what he's actually saying, he was saying, reacting on social media, several people have reignited the debate over the Privy Council versus the Caribbean Court of Justice, which is what is happening here. And this is something which he said here. Let's play this.
The Caribbean Court of Justice would not have come to a similar conclusion, right, as the Privy Council in this case. And beyond that, who is to say that the Caribbean Court of Justice would not have come to a similar conclusion, right, as the Privy Council in this case? And beyond that, who is to say they wouldn't have grappled with those two other fundamental issues in the trial and have a more holistic judgment dealing with all the issues? Who is to say that?
That is exactly what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, but I agree with you. I mean, it's just a fictitious argument to suggest that somehow the Caribbean Court of Justice would not have arrived at this decision.
Yes.
The other point that Clyde is saying is that the two other points, the Interception of Communication Act point, and the other point about when it is that the retirement point, that the jury was sent out for retirement too late. Those 2 points, what Clyde is saying, that perhaps who is to say the CCJ wouldn't have dealt with it?
Yeah.
I mean, one of the complaints that have certainly been leveled against the Caribbean Court of Justice in the last 10 or 15 years, that its judgments are too short.
Yes.
Its judgments, its advice are too short. My view is, I agree with Clyde to the extent that he's saying that it's a false argument to say that the Caribbean Court of Justice would never arrive at the same position. It's just it's nonsense.
Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming on, and those on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. TikTok, thank you for your coming on. And also, I've got Matunda Makula, former acting public defender here. We're in the UK, and we're just dissecting this case a bit. I was listening to reading something else, and you have said already, but I'll just go through this. A point I just picked up. The CCJ was established in 2001. And ladies and gentlemen, you can see the website details there, www.ccj.org, with original and appellate jurisdictions. To date, it is a final court of appeal for Barbados, Belize, Dominica, Guyana, and St. Lucia. It's interesting, these countries here, Barbados, Belize, Dominica, Guyana, and St. Lucia. In recent days, when they're talking about the Haitian crisis there, I think Barbados, Guyana, and St. Lucia were one of the key persons there, wasn't it?
I mean, self-respecting countries, yeah.
Yeah. And Mr. Williams said that the Privy Council is a symbol of slavery and colonization, and argues that the CCJ holds more advantages for Jamaicans, including accessibility to justice and ethnic and cultural representation. I'll just play one more bit there.
In the last 20 years, we have not had more than 13 appeals in any given year that went to the Privy Council. 13, when we have had hundreds of matters dealt with by the Court of Appeal. I've had clients who wanted to appeal beyond the Court of Appeal, but just didn't have the money to go to London. So there are questions of accessibility to justice and accessibility to your final court. And I also want to say this because of slavery. I want a court that the people look like me, that tell you the truth, or the people look like the melting pot of Caribbean peoples. I must tell you, I have a real issue with a court peopled by only white men, largely, only white persons, largely. The Judicial Committee of the Privy Council pulls its judges from the Supreme Court of United Kingdom. They have never had a black man or a black woman in that court. In the centuries that court has been operating.
What if as the UK is moving on and things are unfolding and we're seeing the black judges and so like that, what if then in the Privy Council you start having black judges? Does that make a big difference?
I mean, personally, I've never used that as the
Another
pivot
basis.
point for me. I understand
Mm.
what he's saying, but I don't use
Yeah.
it as a pivot point because I use a more cultural. To me,
Yes.
color is not what's important. It's culture that's important.
Yes.
Because you can have two black persons who are from different cultures. You might have more in common with a white Jamaican than you have in common with a black British person.
Mm.
Yeah, because culture is ultimately what you're talking about, not color.
Yeah.
You talk about color because that's what's been projected for a long time. Culture is important, but I agree with him that the court should have the sort of melting pot composition. If that's to the point, extent at which I would agree with him. I understand the other point he makes when he said the court should look like the Caribbean. I agree with that.
Yes. Yes.
I do agree with that.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you can ask any questions and we can answer it at the same time as much as possible. So Matundo, we have been having these discussions. We went all around the UK talking about constitutional reform. We went to was it Bristol or Nottingham? Was it Bristol or Nottingham? Was it Bristol?
Nottingham, Birmingham,
Yeah.
Nottingham,
And
and
London.
London.
Yes, yes, and we are advocates for reform of the constitution and to have a republic, and also we want to see the king to remove as the head of state. Do you see any sort of traction in a way, or the appetite growing for this sort of debate? And we just came out of an election a while ago where we had 29% turnout. The last election before, which was the general election, it was 37.8% turnout. We just had 29% turnout in a very exciting one, but it was still 29. Do you think any appetite is there for constitutional reform in Jamaica?
Amongst the political directorate, some amount of appetite, but amongst the electorate, I'm not so sure that their interest has been sufficiently stoked.
Yes.
This process, to the extent that it is ongoing, is deficient in several ways. But one of the key ways in which it is deficient is the fact that, to put it simply, people are not sufficiently informed about what exists, let alone have a view as to where we want to go. You cannot have a constitutional reform process and there is no guide document. You just can't.
Yes.
It's you cannot be reforming a written document and you have not bothered to set out for people in a written format that they can see and access what currently exists and what it says. I'm not asking you to replicate the constitution itself, as in print it and give it to every citizen. No, but there's some key parts of the constitution you print and you put it in a booklet format, explain it in simple language, user-friendly language, I should say, so that people can understand what exists, and you again explain what are the consequences of what exists and how it plays out on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
And for example, many persons in our country sees a DP. Thanks to this current DPP, she's more accessible. She gives interviews, but nobody knows. Not many persons know the extent of her powers, what it is she does. Should we restrain the power? Should we extend the power? Should we divide the role of chief prosecutor from the role of the administrator of the office? Those are the sort of things that you want people to engage in. But
Mm.
those who are leading the constitutional reform process seem to think that consultation and town hall meetings are one and the same thing. They're
Yes.
not. I can turn up to a town hall meeting and discuss something with you. Doesn't mean I've consulted with you, because in the first place, I have not provided you with a guide document so that you can come to the meeting informed, and from a position of being informed, you will ask better questions and you will be able to put forward better ideas.
So what you're actually saying to me here, and what I'm picking up as well, and we've been discussing this, it is that really and truly at this point in time, where I believe the Minister of the Constitutional Affairs, Amalahu Ford, is about to send a proposal to the government or to submit their recommendation for the constitutional reform. The people of Jamaica should have had something in their hands like a manifesto, like when they have
Of course,
elections.
of course.
So there's nothing. Can I ask anybody here, anyone from Jamaica, yeah, hashtag whatever, have you got anything in your hands regarding the constitutional reform or the constitutional discussion, something that you can open and look at and read? Has anyone in Jamaica got anything of that nature? I'll ask a question. I'll wait for response. Yes. So really and truly, something like that should. But who is responsible for that? Is it civic groups like Advocacy Network with Professor Rosalie
No,
Hamilton?
no.
Or is it? Yeah.
The Minister of Constitutional and Legal Affairs
Yes.
is responsible for that. You are leading this process.
Yes.
Yes, you
Good evening.
need
Yes.
to get this thing done. I mean, this is not as radical a constitutional reform as you and I would want. You
Mm,
know, it's not. You see,
mm,
historically, a constitutional reform process can either evolve from revolutions,
yes.
or they can evolve from a radical change,
Yes.
just pure political change that does not that did not have that wasn't preceded by a a revolution. Okay,
Yes. Yes.
for example, Guyana,
Mm,
after independence, a couple few years after their independence, they had a sort of radical reshape of their constitution. Most significantly, they did away with the Privy Council.
mm,
Yeah, okay, that wasn't preceded by a war, but what the people who were responsible
mm.
for the drafting of the Guyana's independence constitution did was that they built into that
Yes.
provision, a time provision
Mm,
for a consideration of moving away from the Privy Council. Okay, so but the people who are leading our reform process, I hate to say this, they sometimes, as in the minister, I think she makes the mistake of thinking a town hall meeting makes a consultation.
yes.
I
The,
mean,
the,
and I say that
mm,
because I've seen where, having flown into London once, she had a meeting at the High Commission
yes.
attended by about 0.0.1% of the Jamaicans living in
Mm,
the UK, and she calls it consultation. That's sort of cheek, yeah.
mm. Well, someone just said right there from in Jamaica, no, Mr. Silburn, I have nothing on constitutional reform myself yet, and I believe this is very crucial now. And the Vybz Cartel bit, as I said, I started off with the Vybz Cartel bit, but not to spend time on the Vybz Cartel issue, but to move towards where we are talking about now, the Caribbean Court of Justice, the Privy Council, and we are talking about constitutional reform, and and they should be working in tandem, isn't it? The removing the Privy Council or keeping the CCJ. No, sorry, keeping the Privy Council or removing or getting the CCJ at the same time with the constitutional reform. Everything should be working together, isn't it?
Of course, of course. But this government has a hidden agenda when it comes to the CCJ,
Right.
because they want to retain a piece to the Privy Council for reasons known only to them, and so they're trying not to make it part of the reform process. Okay.
Yes.
Secondly,
Yes.
they want to try to put it to the referendum when the constitution doesn't require a referendum. They want to politicize it. They
Right.
want to politicize this, and it ought not to be politicized. I mean, we are paying for this Caribbean Court of Justice. We have contributed large sums of money to the running of this court. I'm not so sure why they think we should not accede to its jurisdiction.
Well, can I just ask this question then? If person like yourself, person like myself, who's seen how things are unfolding, not happy with the level of information which is dissected, well, which is cascaded down to the people of Jamaica. Is it also incumbent upon us or civic society as well to step up on the education information process? Because if you go to an election with a low turnout or so, you may get the same thing. And then we're gonna say, shucks, we should have actually done some work on this if the government is not leading on it.
Yeah, there people.
I mean, that's what we're doing now, anyhow, in a sense,
Groups
indirectly.
like the Advocacy Network have been out there,
Mm.
and I think that you saw a sort of coalition of that has been built as a result of this process.
Yes, yes,
But
yes.
and you have to applaud and salute that type of leadership.
Yes.
But it cannot replace what the government is obliged to do.
To do, yes.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
That's my view on that.
Yeah. I'm going to ask a question before we go. I'm not going to stay long tonight. I want to keep this tight, keep this tight so people can. Would you, persons who are listening, and everyone can answer this question, would you want to keep the Privy Council, or would you want to remove the Privy Council and go to the CCJ, Caribbean Court of Justice, replacing the Privy Council with the Caribbean Court of Justice? You can say keep the Privy Council or CCJ. You can answer that. Yeah, keep the Privy Council, or no Privy Council. Yes, Privy Council or no Privy Council. That's all you can respond. Yes, Privy Council or no Privy Council. I just want to test something here. I don't know. This is a very interesting conversation. At this present moment. In regards to Kartel, we leave it to the eminent lawyers who are. There's more to watch in that zone there, isn't it? As how it unfolds.
Yeah,
I believe the Privy Council need to send something down, some document or some writ or whatever down to the
the order. The order needs to be. Well, I call it the order that needs
the
to
order.
go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the order. Yeah.
But I
PJ,
mean,
yeah.
that
PJ,
doesn't.
Yeah. Sorry, go on. Yeah.
That doesn't stop the Court of Appeal from starting to search for a date.
Yes, I've seen so far. PJ, this female, someone on TikTok said keep the Privy Council. Another person, no Privy Council. On TikTok, on YouTube here, Lorna said yes, Privy Council, and someone says no Privy Council. So it's a bit tired at the same time. A lot of education is going to be needed on this, Matunda.
Of course, I mean, because and the fact that people are infusing this into the Privy Council CCJ debate tells you that there's a lot of ignorance around. It's just not. It's not an issue that should be mentioned. It's not. I mean, you have not seen this. It's not the CCJ whose decision was overturned. It's the decision of the Jamaican Court of Appeal.
Yes. Crazy. Did you say yes, K? Is that yes, keep? Yes, K, is that yes, keep? Kiziness, best dog name with supper when you in case as cartel in a corrupted system like Jamaica. You see, that's the thing. We can't deny what people are thinking. Someone says best dog name with supper when you're in a case as cartel in a corrupted system like Jamaica. Because people are thinking that
A
if
corrupted
cartel,
system. I don't
would you think,
understand that.
yeah, would you
I don't understand that sort of
is
nonsense.
is Jamaica a corrupted system? I don't have evidence of
No,
that.
but in this case, it's not the system that was corrupted. It's an
Yeah,
individual who tried to corrupt the judge, the process. It's not
yes,
the
yeah,
lawyers or the judges.
mm,
It's citizens. It's
yes,
citizens it is a citizen who tried to corrupt other jurors.
mm,
I mean, even though the court said that, well, there was no evidence that the the juror was acting on behalf of any of the appellants. I mean, we must be damn stupid to think that
yeah.
it wasn't one of them. Um,
Someone said
it is.
Paula needs to retire. Too much red tape make it sound corrupted. Yeah, go on. Yeah,
It's not. I mean, I don't know how to put it. It's not the individual, the systems, the institutions that or an institution that was trying. There was no evidence that the judges were implicated. There was no
yeah,
evidence that the lawyers were implicated. It is a citizen who tried to bribe other jurors. Okay, so
yeah,
I don't want people to. I have no patience for people who mouth off that sort of stupidity and then use it as a reason to retain
yeah.
appeals to the Privy Council. Speak to your fellow Jamaicans and tell them to resist corruption and to stop trying to bribe people. Tell them.
You know, one of the things I did a show recently, and Professor Rosalie Hamilton and myself, we talk about the seven Nolan principle. We talk about objectivity, leadership, honesty, um, selflessness, transparency, accountability, integrity. And then there's one thing that we we grabbed onto was saying, it's just like with equity. Who comes with equity must come with clean hands. But there's
Of
also
course.
a term that integrity. For Jamaicans demanding integrity from your leaders, you must also come with integrity as well.
Of course.
Integrity goes both ways. Have other Caribbean countries have control over Britain? What someone said? Have other Caribbean country have control over Britain? I mean, I understand the one there. Um, red tape, red tape make the system corrupt. The court justice system need reform. Someone said, does that make sense? I mean, there's a massive red tape over here in the UK when it comes on to court process. Is it procedure, isn't it? It's procedures.
I just think a lot of people are again misinformed or
Yeah.
not even misinformed as much as not informed about the procedures.
Yes.
So I have patience for comments like those. I have patience because those are the persons asking to be informed. That's it.
Yes. 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 Matunda, any last word there? Any last word?
Well, the democratic experiment that we embarked on in 1962 must continue. And the next move by the state in this case must be one that enhances the confidence that the people of Jamaica has in its institutions.
Yes.
Because without that confidence, the people of Jamaica will give up on the democratic experiment. And we can't afford that.
Yes.
We cannot afford that.
Someone said, action now, said, away with the Privy Council, away with the he said, away with the CCJ. One's final court should be in one's country. What do you think about that? The
I think
apex
the
court.
that's nonsense, man. Yeah.
Call the Virgin saying that's a nonsense
It's
one.
nonsense. I mean, I've had that discussion. I've heard that discussion for years.
Yeah.
What's his name? Former Prime Minister Bruce Golding was the one who came up with that nonsensical idea, and he has abandoned it. It's stupidity. There's no other way to put it. It's stupidity.
Yeah. Guilty or not guilty, the victim in Jamaica need fair constitutional justice court. How can the police charge a man 3 counts of murder still get bail? Should not get bail until proven.
I don't know the facts of the case, so.
Yeah, I'm getting the facts of the case. Well, definitely. Someone said, why is it okay? I got to put it to you, Matunda, because someone said, why is it nonsense? The
It's
bit
nonsense
where
because in as much as you want your final court to consist of persons from being drawn from a wider cross section of the region,
yes,
it's beneficial if you have your final court not consisting solely of
mm,
just Jamaican judges. You're closing off your final court from other brilliant minds in the region. It can
mm,
only be beneficial. It can only be beneficial that your
mm,
final court, with all the weaknesses in the Caribbean society, with all the familiarity that exists in the Caribbean society, it's only wise that you have your final court consisting of men and women who are not solely from Jamaica.
yes. Is that a fair Kizzy? That's a response which is more measured than just saying nonsense to shut it down.
Of course, it's a more intelligent
Yeah,
response, because the person who raised that
yeah.
that point clearly believes in it. So I
Mhm.
think I'm obliged to answer it properly, as opposed to
Yeah.
being intemperate in my remarks, and I can apologize to the person.
Mm. He's saying it's nonsense because he belongs to the school of thought used by the same system. So therefore,
I'm not sure what the person means by that. I belong to the school that says that if you draw judges from a broader cross section of a society, you're more likely to get a more diverse experience of life and the law, and that
Mm.
can only be beneficial to the lawmaking process.
I'm going to ask a question while it's been asked, because if people ask the questions and they're saying it, and a couple of persons are saying it there. Um, in Jamaica, you have the highest court in Jamaica is what? The Court of
Privy
Appeal.
Council.
No. Sorry. Within the country, within no within the country. I
The
know
Court
it's
of
and
Appeal.
the Court of Appeal. Yeah, the Court of
Yeah.
Appeal. Right.
Yeah.
So what action now is saying is that the final court, which would be, i.e., the CCJ or the Privy Council equivalent, should be a
A
court,
Jamaican Final Court of Appeal.
a Jamaican final court.
Yeah,
Is there
that's
any
what they say.
argument for that?
For it.
Huh?
Is there an argument for it?
Yes.
There's neither an appetite nor an argument for it.
But what if people are asking for it?
What people?
People. I mean, here
One
people.
person? One
Well,
person.
no, a couple of persons are actually saying, that where
I've told
wherever
them, I
the
will
crime is
repeat.
committed, that is where it should be tried at the highest level. That's what wherever the crime is committed, that is where. I'm just being a devil's advocate. Well, I don't
I
have to
understand
be.
what you're saying, but
I'm
no,
just.
there's no appetite for that. There's no body of persons who are supporting that nightmare.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Former Prime Minister Bruce Gordon was the only person who was pushing it, and it never gained any traction.
In attraction. Yes.
It was just a diversionary tactic, and that's what it is. It died.
Yeah. ID, how are you doing? Welcome. Yes. You're late. I'm gonna put you on a naughty step, and so like that. Yeah. Well, it's very interesting, and definitely, without a doubt, we as England got a court that decides for a final decision,
Yeah, Supreme Court.
the Supreme Court, which is in England.
Mm.
This is what I mean. That's what the person is actually saying.
It's a
Um,
lot. You see, you got to understand the
mm,
difference the numerical difference between England and Wales and Jamaica.
yes.
There are more people living in probably Croydon than number of persons living in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well. The comments are coming true. That's the point they want to make. But nevertheless, still, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight. And I want to thank Matunda. I'm going to release Matunda so he can get his sleep. By the way, do you know who won the election in Jamaica? While we're
It was a pleasure talking to you. Yeah.
I don't want to go there. It's a pleasure talking to me. Yeah, let's keep it simple as well. Matunda, listen, thank you so much for that interjection. And somebody say he needs sleep. Adrian, well, listen. I guess we're about having talk and sip tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We're having some wine. Cheers, mate. You know.
Well, I never saw you taste that wine, so you like you in the
Did it,
movie.
well, I just had most time it is props, you know. I go to church in the morning, you know what I mean? My pastor may be watching. I say, I want to see how many sips silver in
No,
his
you're just
hand.
having your communion in advance.
It's communion as well, you know.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, Matunda. All right.
All right, well, good. Peace.
Peace out. God bless you. Cheers. Cheers. Cheers, man. Ladies and gentlemen, I just had Matunda Makula tonight. I say I'm not going to stay late tonight, but just looking at the different conversation, it's very good with the interaction with what people are actually saying, and the points I made. I like to I'll pick up all the different points as action now say in if the case is, as a matter of fact, I'll do something here. Should I? Action, let me send you a link. That's if you want to come in. It's up to you. Then if you want to come in, I'll just send you a link. It's always good to get a feedback from different persons. I'm going to send it to you if you want to, and I'll send it to you also, Michelle, if you want to come in for the last bits there. I can't find you. Action. Send me a message. I can't seem to find you. Where are you? Where are you? Send me a message. You got my number, man. Send me a message. And because it'd be good to hear your perspective. Ah, there we are. Okay, found it. There you are. Sent to you. Yeah, you can come in for let's see your perspective. Yes, thank you, Lorna. Very interesting conversation. And if the case in England doesn't leave the English justice system, why should ours leave? You know, Kizzy now said exactly. You know, there's too much control. Which in Jamaica exactly? You know, guys, I saw a video today of a little boy. Very, very disturbing. Very, very disturbing. Very disturbing video. I don't know if you guys seen it. And this little boy was being bullied by some white boys. Little boy, could be about 12 or 13 or so. And they kick him. One of the guys kick him. And he said, it's terrible. He said, kiss my shoes. Kiss my shoes. That's what the boy said. Kiss my shoes. And the young black boy kissed the white boy's shoes. You know, it was hurtful. You know what I mean? Just seeing that. Apparently, the boy's been arrested for. You know, I mean, in the UK, of course, of recent days, you those who are in the UK must have heard about Diane, about where this guy said to her, every time he sees her, it makes him want to hate black women. And he went further by saying, and he want like to be shot. Dan Abbott to be shot. Dan Abbott was the first, or is, she's alive, is the first black woman member of parliament. You know, might not like her policies or so like that. You know, but she's a institution. A lot of black women has actually come through based on the legacy of Diane Abbott as well. And that was really horrible, you know, what the guy said. And there's a massive demonstration in Hackney where she is a member of parliament for. She's of Jamaican parentage. First black woman MP in the UK. And you know, and then that little boy again, you know, I'm not going to share the video. I'm not going to share the video because when you see, because I don't know. I think sometimes you share these things and it panders into the racist, stereotypical person. Because I even put a video on TikTok and some racist persons came out when they kept saying we need to get over it. You know, move on, get over it. You can never tell a Jew that. Move on, get over it. That's what they said. Move on. And you never see their face, you never see their profile, No wonder I think America want to shut down TikTok, because there are so many racist persons, pedophile, and all these persons hiding behind some of these things. Let me just bring in hey boss, how are you?
Great, greetings, Mr.
I was yeah, I was watching I was listening to you, and I said let me get mischievous. Because your point, you got a point. I believe every person has a point in different things. I'm a facilitator, you know. I may disagree with you, but I facilitate and listen to you, you know. So tell me, what's your take on what we spoke about a while ago, leading from the cartel quash of the conviction to the whole aspect with the Caribbean Court of Justice, the Privy Council. Many people are saying we need to keep the Privy Council. Some are saying no, we need to get rid of it. But now you are actually saying get rid of both of them. Mash down that lie. You come on a different angle. Talk to me. Talk to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So greetings to your audience. Greetings.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, I strongly believe when it comes down to justice, right? Justice delayed is justice denied, right?
Yes.
So, every country should have its own court system, so properly set up, right? Competent to deal with any criminal matter or any violation, whether socially or otherwise, right? It can't be a case where we have to take a plane. I mean, we're looking at financial challenges.
Yes.
How many financially challenged persons can really have their cases flown on a plane to another country to get redress, right?
Yes.
It's not practical. So we should not be under the notion, or we should not facilitate the narrative that yes, we should have a court of a Caribbean Court of Justice or a Privy Council. Every country should have its own sovereign court system to properly deal with the issues, right? I mean, England cases don't leave England to go anywhere to be tried, right? So why then should? But again, the
Well,
narrative.
before you got the human rights, which sometimes can come in and squash certain the ECHR European Court, but I mean they move away from the what they call it, Brexit as Brexit from certain things, because they always say in law, we always say where international law and domestic law conflict, international law prevails. But that has sort of changed as to the point, because lots of MPs now are actually saying, even with the case recently in the UK, where they have the wanting to send immigrants or those who came to the UK want to send them to Rwanda. Um, the UK is upset because they're saying they don't want international law or human rights to mess up the plans, you know, or so. So there is still a level of oversight from international. But I hear your point. Please keep going. I just wanted to get that one in. Yeah.
No, nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong with the international bodies oversight, right? Because again, we are a global community, right?
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it should not be dependent. A country should not depend on an external body to properly make a judgment when it comes down to criminal matters. Or you understand? It should not be that. We should not be dependent, right? We can see consultation or advice and so on and so forth, right? But we should not be dependent on an external court system to properly deal with our matters, or judicial matters. You understand? So CCJ, I understand that the CARICOM nation want to have a court system that deals with the CARICOM nation, but then again, every country should stand sovereign when it comes down to their judicial system. That's what I believe, right? Because what other, and I understand what your guest earlier was saying. You get the assistance from brilliant-minded individuals outside of the circle and so on and so forth. I understand, right? But then again, there are certain matters that you still have to, allow the due diligence and the course of justice to just take place, right?
One of the things that I like about the Caribbean Court of Justice, or the idea of the Caribbean Court of Justice, this is just me, and that is in regards to CARICOM to become a very strong and effective bloc. You know, like what's going on in Haiti, and you speak a lot on Haiti as well. I see they have been interviewing a member of parliament, I think in the opposition for Kenya, and the laws are preventing them from sending these police across to Haiti. 1,000 police, but the MP said the jurisdiction in Kenya don't allow you to send police. Police is for the nation in Kenya. You can send the defense forces, you know. So the MPs come out by saying, no, we're opposing. That's the reason why you don't have 1,000 police gone to Haiti. Now, if the CARICOM, if the Caribbean countries, because when we looked earlier, we saw that um, it is Belize, Dominica, St. Lucia, Barbados. They have the Caribbean, the CCJ as their final court of appeal. But can you imagine if all of that is enshrined in a way whereby the CARICOM have this massive block, effective block? What is happening, especially with Guyana and is it Dominica? Which is the oil country? Which was it with Guyana with the whole oil which they found recently?
Yeah,
CARICOM,
Guyana.
yeah, CARICOM can be a strong block with the Caribbean Court of Justice. Don't you think so? You know, we are controlling ourselves. These countries here. I understand standing alone, but you know, what do you think? I just threw that one out.
All right.
Being-
Well, I understand that. I understand
Yeah.
that, and so it would be good if we could structure it this way, then, right?
Yeah.
So while each country has the competence to properly, administer justice, we
Yeah.
could also create an alternative path where, if we believe that the justice system in one's country was not properly a case, like for example the cartel case, it wasn't handled properly by by internal by the courts that we have here, right? We can then make uh, a special. Maybe I'm going in circle. Maybe a special request to have it heard in another jurisdiction, right?
Yeah.
It the current way it is set up is that we don't have that final. The final is in another country. The
Yes.
final should be in one's own country. But
Mm.
if we need external assistance where a case is concerned, then we say, all right, let's deal with it that. Right? Let's
Okay.
look at it
Mm.
from that other perspective.
Let me hear what Michelle say. Hi, Michelle. Good evening. How are you doing?
Hi, good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night. Yeah, what's your take on?
I
Yeah.
agree with him.
Mm.
When you bring in like with the Haiti um situation, that's totally different. This is a criminal thing that happened in the country of Jamaica. So everything should be decided there. This is the way me see it.
Mm.
Everything should be decided there. Now, when you go like without, when you're talking about, yeah, you can't bring in the CARICOM and those, international, but
Mm.
with a situation like this, I think that this is a criminal case. Is England bringing in Jamaica in their high courts to make decisions? Is America doing it? Come on. Or any other country can come in their country and say, okay, it's the higher court is in them of saying it. No, the only thing is just that Jamaica need to um the corruption. It's a bias system, and them have to change that. And
Yeah.
that's why the people them not trust them. I would rather to go off the island.
Mm. It is very interesting, Michelle, regarding this whole bit because we have been talking a lot about constitution, for a while. Can you hear me? So yeah, Yeah, we've been talking a lot about constitution for a while, and this whole bit with cartel has unearthed or bring up this whole issue out. And I believe that it's very important for people in Jamaica at this time. And action now. Earlier I asked this question that have you been provided with a document that set out the whole issue with constitution reform, like a manifesto? Is there something going around in Jamaica that people can read?
Not currently. Not currently. This reform process has been a very untidy process. It is sinister in nature, right? There's no proper engagement taking place, no documentation, so that people can be really informed. We already have a constitution that is complex, written in a form where I mean, not to bash your expertise, Mr. Sidial. Written in legalese, so lawyers or those persons who are versed with the law can understand, right? So we are not given a document so far, and this is March, right? This is March. We're not given any documents to understand what is really happening with the constitutional reform process. It is just shabby. It is just shabby to say the least.
Do you think that Michelle and Action, or do you think that they don't take the electorate serious? They don't have values for the electorate or the person, because I'm finding out a lot now in Jamaica that the middle class or so, they don't vote. They hardly vote.
Exactly. The
They don't
upper
vote.
class and the middle class, they don't vote. It's the poor people that you see out there
So
kill
do,
up
so, so,
themselves
so do
to
you
go
think
vote.
then do you think that the government or the politicians recognize and know that and take advantage of that action now? And Michelle.
Most definitely, most definitely. You can, as the saying say, you can fool some people sometimes, but you can't fool all the people all the time, right? It's the poor, politically uneducated, politically illiterate
Yep.
that usually participate in these processes. They don't
Yeah.
know what to expect from public officials, and so they get any form of corrupt um, response from government. They don't know better, right? And that is
Mm,
why they receive this kind of thing. We get the leadership, we get the system that we accept, and
mm,
that's where it's at. But these people don't know, right? And so in order for us to address certain things in Jamaica, we have to address the education. I
mm,
recently
Yep.
went to I recently went to a school, and some of the educators there were telling me that you have students in grade 8 who don't know how to spell certain basic words that you would have mastered from primary school. We're talking about high school students who don't know how to spell words that you would have been exposed to at the primary school level. And this was really, really shocking. And then I'm
mm.
saying these are the people, our education system is failing a vast majority of our children. And so they end up in the society innumerate, illiterate, and they are manipulated by politicians.
Oh. What do you always say, Michelle? The power of the people. What?
The power of the people is more powerful than the people in power. The people
But
them offer learn, and this is where it starts in the school, where they need to learn civics. They got to learn about them government and learn about certain things, so that they know how to go out there and how to make the decision. And the first guest that you had on, that he was saying about the town hall meetings and which we call, he's right about that. He's
mm,
correct about that. Because if you don't have any manifesto to say hold them accountable to when you go to the town hall meetings,
but
what
uh,
can you ask them? What can you say to them?
but by the way, I recall in the last election just gone a while ago. I don't know if you action now, Jay. You stood as a candidate. Did you provide a manifesto to the people so they can read up about what your policies are?
Yes, I did.
You did. How many
Mhm.
days before the election?
I mean, I didn't have a lot of time because I was
Yeah.
really not prepared for the election. So um, in my mind, I wasn't thinking that a local government election would have been called in
Yeah.
February here. So everything with caught me off guard.
Off guard, yes.
I still was able to print some flyers with my Vote for Me flyers with the manifesto
Yes.
print the manifesto,
Mm.
right? So it was like maybe 3 to 4 weeks before the election. I was
Okay. Yeah. So I'll ask
There
a
you
question.
go. And
I'll
that's
ask
not
a
enough time.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah. And I'll
There
ask a
you
question.
go.
Yeah. And I'll ask a question now. Did the JLP, they said they're going to put out one the Saturday before the election. Did they put one out?
I
I
don't
know
think
the PNP put out one.
I don't think to date the Jamaica Labour Party has put out
Yeah.
any. I'm not sure, but if they had put out any, I mean, I would be made aware.
Yeah.
That.
You see, yeah. Why I brought that up is the whole thing what Matunda and I was discussing earlier in regards to this major constitutional reform. It is so very important that salient points are highlighted so people can actually understand what it is. Even the whole bit about removing the king as the head of state, or England, the monarch as the head of state. Those particular provisions that show people and what take place. You know how this is going to go about. A document that should be showing this. You're right. Town hall meetings are good, and you can have this conversation, but you somehow leave a bit dry or empty, and it's like something that needed to be done. And if I understand right, that the government or the minister is in the process of submitting a recommendation or a proposal of what they are supposed to do, then you have to ask a question to every Jamaican out there. Do you know what that is? Do you know what that is action now?
No,
Do you
I
know?
don't. No.
Michelle, you know what that is? Even though you aren't,
I'm not down there, but
Yeah,
I just say it's too much of a disadvantage for
mm,
politicians that want to run.
yeah,
It's like everything is popped up on you. It's
yes,
ridiculous. That's a disadvantage there,
yes,
that you're going
yeah,
to put out flyers or you're going to put out a manifesto 4 weeks before the election.
yeah,
That's ridiculous.
yeah,
How the people them know who them a vote for 4 weeks
yes,
before the election. Come on.
yeah. How important is the Constitution to the people of Jamaica? How important is the Constitution to you, Action Now? Someone is in the diaspora asking that question. How important is the Constitution to the people of Jamaica? How important is it to you, Action Now?
I mean, that's a very good question. The Constitution, all right, I don't know if the current Constitution is really important to me because there's the current Constitution. I don't even want to call it a Constitution because it's not really a Constitution, right? That document that was given to us by Britain or by England. I don't think it deserves to be called a Constitution. I mean,
What do you want to call it? What do you want to call it?
I think the right name for it, if my memory serves me right, is an order in council. It's an order in council.
Mm.
Right? So if it's an order in council and then you have a constitution, but we know in English words that are in bracket are not really the main subject of any.
Exactly. Yes.
So it should be important to me, right? It should be, but it is currently not because it was not written by my people for my people. It was given to us. I know what a constitution should be, and I know how important it should be.
Yes.
For the constitution. That is why I'm not really up for the constitutional reform. I'm not for that kind of narrative. The constitution that we are talking about or that we use in Jamaica should be put one side, right? And a constitution developed by the Jamaican people for the Jamaican people. We don't need to reform anything. We need to create our own constitution.
You want something to be fully recreated, not recreated, created.
Fully created, yes. Right. That is where it should be.
Exactly. Yep.
The constitution, and not to cut you, Michelle. The constitution currently plays a role in the problems that we have in the many systems that we have in Jamaica. Because when I talk about conflict of interest, There's nothing in the Constitution that deals with conflict of interest or creates separation of power
Well,
in the
well,
government.
well, isn't that what the reform of the Constitution is trying to do? You're starting off with something. You're going bite-sized chunks, if anything, isn't it? Bite-size.
You see, you're saying reform.
Yeah,
I mean,
reform. Yeah.
You're saying reform. We don't want to reform.
I've never heard in the town hall meetings that took place, Mr. Silver. I've never heard certain things talk about in terms of the separation of power. They're really talking about making Jamaica a republic, right? With the same setup, the same political setup, right? That's pretty much the core reasoning of the reform. They're not talking about separation of power. I've never heard that in any of their conversation. I've not heard about conflict of interest. And so if we're not mindful, the Constitution is reformed and these things are not addressed.
Not addressed, and it's still, one of the things they talk a lot about is that you can remove the power. Okay, they say the prime minister have a lot of powers, yes, and you can say that's something that they want to remedy, but then you might get a president, and then the president come out same way with lots of power.
Exactly.
So therefore, that is why even Professor Rosalie and myself, when we do our show, we got to really think these things through very seriously, because you could swap black dog with monkey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So exactly, it has to be it has to be an intricate process, and it has to be one that is inclusive. The Jamaican people must be a part of this process. It cannot be a legal process, because so far, and I mean Nadine Spence is trying to sell the argument that the committee, the Constitutional Reform Committee, is made up of persons from different even though they are lawyers, they are from different I should say
ministers, young people, and everything like that.
Right. But all of them are lies. So we run the risk of the ordinary Jamaican still don't understand, still not a part of this process, because it is a process that is saturated with lawyers.
Yes.
With lawyers, exactly.
So
this is where civic come in, that them have to educate themselves, okay, for all of this to start happening.
Yes. Have a good night, Kizzy. God bless you. Somebody I'm saying bye-bye to. So what do you think about it for a second? We're going to wrap up now, but think about it for a second. What is it then that you want to see, and how do you think that is going to be achieved? Because you're talking about something from scratch, but at the same time, that's highly unlikely that's going to happen. Well, how do you see the reform can be better? Yeah.
The government must come clean to the Jamaican people. It's very important that the government come clean to us.
Yes.
We are aware. There are few in Jamaica and in the diaspora that are aware as to what should be done. It makes no sense. We try to ace the process and it is not done properly.
Yes.
Right? It makes no sense. The government must come clean with what is it that they really want to establish for Jamaica. Right? They have to come clean. I'm seeing too many shadiness, if I should say that, shady process. The government need to come clean, and very, very importantly, education around this process must be at the forefront. It has to be. The ordinary Jamaican must be educated. They must be empowered about this process so that it is understood and they can be involved in it. The campaigns structured in that way, same as how they do their election campaign. They make their songs, they keep their meetings and their rallies. They have to do this. It is important. They need to treat it as important so that the people all view it as important.
You know, I was listening to some very interesting discussion on Ground Nation the other day, and listening to Stephen Golden, and it's really very serious that people need to really be involved in this process, and keep on speaking with your voice, action now, and many people as well being a part of this process, and we're going to keep challenging the government. I believe there's a wake-up call at the last local government election. Let's hope that somehow we don't just sit back on our laurels and then wait for things to happen again, or an election to happen, and then people start to get out there. The voting, of course, as you realize, was really low, 29%, and 37% at the last election, the 2020 general election. What do you think is going to happen in this next election? Do you think people are being inspired, excited to vote, or you think it might die down? What do you think?
I think it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse, right? And
when it's worse, you mean to say less persons coming out to vote?
Less persons coming out to vote because the system has not changed. It's the same. It's different faces, but it's the same system they come and promote, and the people is aware, and that is why the number is getting less and less, right? But what now is that the 70.4% that didn't vote in the local government election, they need to understand how powerful they are. They can tip the scale. They need to understand is either we're going to unite around a party or a movement, another party or another movement who sounds competent to deal with our matters, or we continue to shy away and we get the same result, right? So the people who have understood and see that there's no difference, no better hair, no better barrel, right? Different sides of the same coin. They need to now organize themselves in a unified force, right? Because I mean, you cannot live in a country where the minority who is illiterate and innumerate is determine who the government is, and then the government is not serving in the best interest of the majority. That is ridiculous.
and then is the government serving in the interest of the electoral, the people who came out to vote them as well?
They're not. You understand?
So it's back to what UIC says. Is the bourgeoisies.
Right.
Michelle, last word, Michelle, before we wrap up.
I agree with Action. I mean, it's ridiculous. Education is the key.
Yes, you always say that. You keep saying that. It's very important.
Yeah, education is key. Them have to educate themselves, and it's the same thing. And the thing about it is that I wish it was easy like that. That the government could be transparent and tell the Jamaican people, but no government is. No government is. And what we have to realize, people might think that I have that that mind that I think, that kind of way, that it's a part of the agenda. It's a part of the agenda. Our country is now licky. Everything, me always say that, right? Our country is licky, and everything them say another country have how it operate, them think that our country is supposed to be functioning that way, but it's not. It's not.
No licky.
No. and our country always been colorist. All them is about is colorism and classism, and that's it. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for that, Michelle, and thanks for Action now for jumping on as of last minute.
Say something, Mr. Sidiel, and you see, these are the issues that is causing the crisis in Haiti. It is what is happening in Haiti is not strange, It is the people rising up to say our government has not been representing us in our, right? They call it all sort of other name in international affairs, but it is the people are fed up of the infiltration of their political system by external who just extract the wealth of the country and exploit the people.
And we see that is what is we see what is happening in Haiti. That's what is a signal in Haiti, which is going on there. It's a very sad case in Haiti, and that's one of the reasons why I said I'm really a strong proponent of the Caribbean Court of Justice and CARICOM having a strong block instead of waiting for Kenya to do something. But us in the region should be able to do something. But what you're saying, there need to be some integrity, and there need to be some sort of letting the people feel that they have a say. So are we saying then that barbecue need to have a say?
Most definitely, he's an Haitian. He is an Haitian. He's not a refugee.
Yes.
He's an Haitian.
Well, Mandela was deemed a terrorist, wasn't it?
I mean, deemed a terrorist by who? His own people, or by other people?
Yes. So therefore, barbecue then seemed to be someone who wields some massive influence in Haiti.
Barbecue is a revolutionary.
It's a revolutionary. All right.
Yeah.
Revolution is needed. Michelle,
have a good night,
revolution.
everyone.
Have a good night.
Yes.
Take care of yourself, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Action. Thank you so much for your input. Much appreciated.
All right,
Okay.
bye-bye.
We're going to talk
Yes,
some other
sir.
time about Haiti. I'm going to do a
Yes,
program
sir.
especially on Haiti as well.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Respect. Thank you. Michelle, good night. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight on the show. Those on Instagram, those on TikTok, those on YouTube. I was getting some funny sounds which was coming up on my thing. Someone told me on TikTok saying it was because maybe I had something open. I don't know what it was, but this music keep coming up. That's why I was trying to shut down the show. Every time I go on to look at something, the music keeps coming up. But the whole thing regarding Vybz Kartel, as I said, what next for Kartel, the Privy Council, and CCJ? I wanted to use Kartel as a springboard, but and to take me to where I reach, which was regarding constitutional reform. Take me to the bit about the Privy Council and also the Caribbean Court of Justice. So we had eloquent Mr. Matunda McCullough who came on tonight, and we broke down what happened from the you can hear the music now. No, that's my music. That's me playing my music there. that's my wrapping up music, Michelle. That's my music there. You're hearing not that music which was going on. This is my music. Yeah. Yeah, that's my music there. So the whole thing regarding that and what we came out with is there need to be some serious education, information about the Caribbean Court of Justice, more than the Privy Council. Because many people are seeing the Privy Council now because of Kartel, World Boss, and I believe that there's a clear need for education, which also, when we talk about the constitutional reform, there should have been some sort of manifesto or some booklet which is being there in the hands of the people, so people can actually look and then people can understand what is going on. So without further ado, I'm going to continue this program, continue this particular discussion, and I'm going to do something specifically on Haiti. I maybe Tuesday night talking to this lady from about mental health and sort of trauma. I think I wanted to do something in discussion with the recent Diane Abbott issue when she was being racialized, and the impact of slavery, which is affecting many people today still. Many people will say, move on, get over it. But no, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. Ladies and gentlemen, have a good night, and may God bless you, and you take care of yourself, and we'll see you at the next time. See you next Saturday night on Talking Sip Saturday night. Peace out.